Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. Good morning. Happy Friday. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVI, and I lead schools Eye on the Valley. Our show, Eye on the Valley, is brought to you, like I said, by SCVI and I Lead Schools. We are a network of charter schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've got a fully accredited online school. We've got a homeschool program that's just absolutely blowing up. We're actually going to be talking about our homeschool program, I Lead Exploration, in just a few minutes. You know what? We've got something for just about every child. In fact, I'm going to say if you've got a child that has educational needs, we can meet them no matter what format you need. We've got classroom-based schools, online schools, home study, hybrid. We've got everything for your TK through 12th grade educational needs. Visit us at ileadschools.org for more information on all of our schools. That's ileadschools.org. You can navigate to any one of our 6 schools from there and choose what is best for you and your family regardless of your needs. One more time, that's ileadschools.org. So yeah, we keep our eye on education here in Santa Clarita and across the nation. But like our show says, we like to keep our eye on the valley as well, bringing you everything that you need to know about what's what right here in the valley. And we do it while trying to bring a smile to your face. And I got to tell you, I've got a little cheat code when it comes to bringing a smile to your face, because our show's on Friday morning. It's Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. So yeah, we are easing into another fabulous weekend together. It's always a fabulous, weekends seldom stink, right? Unless you've got to work this weekend. And if you do, well, don't complain. Get after it. But, weekends are always awesome. And when you live here in Santa Clarita and in Southern California, just about everything is awesome. The Lego guys had it right. But, so yeah, go ahead and grab yourself that second cup of coffee and relax a little bit. Let's do this. We've got another great show for you today. I know I say that every week, but, I do think we put together a great show here every week. Look, when you do one show a week, you really can't afford to take a show off. You can't afford to mail it in. And it better be good every week. But hey, producer Sarah is really amazing. She puts together a great show every week, and this one is no exception. Coming right up on Eye on the Valley, we've got Carolyn Olsen, co-founder and executive director of FYI. That's Fostering Youth Independence, FYI. Fostering Youth Independence is such an important organization in our valley, and Carolyn's story of finding her passion and purpose is truly inspirational. So we'll talk to her in just a minute, and then in hour number 2, I'm really excited about this one. This is a guest that I've been trying to get for quite a while on our show. We've got Andi Palmatier. She's a teacher with I Lead Exploration, our home study program, and she and her team are doing some things with homeschoolers that, well, quite frankly, we were told for years that you just can't do with homeschoolers. It's not possible. But she's innovating what education can look like in a post-COVID world, and she's so much fun. It's going to be a great show, at least until the end of the show. And that's when my brother comes on, and he's just an absolute train wreck, but Mom makes me put him on, throw him a bone at the end of the show every week. So, he's got trivia questions, and it has potential to be fun, every week. So it'll at least be interesting. So stick around with us for a couple hours, won't you? Let's go ahead and do this. Like I said, my first guest is the executive director and co-founder of Fostering Youth Independence, also known as FYI. Carolyn Olsen grew up at the absolute center of Long Island, New York. She graduated from Hop Hog High School. I just love saying Hop Hog. Mm-hmm. And after obtaining her bachelor's degree in business administration from Gordon College, Carolyn enjoyed a successful career in the banking industry. Following the birth of her first child, she left the corporate world to focus on raising her children and volunteering in the community. Today, Carolyn has over 18 years of nonprofit leadership experience, serving as a church building committee coordinator, high school booster club board president, and operations director for the Single Mothers Outreach of Santa Clarita Valley. In 2016, Carolyn became a court-appointed special advocate and began working with a 17-year-old foster youth. She quickly realized the unique challenges faced by youth transitioning to adulthood without parental support. As Carolyn began finding ways to help the young woman for whom she was advocating, she developed a passion to use what she was learning to help as many foster youth as possible. Well, gosh, Carolyn, I should stop telling your story and you and I should talk about it. Welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
So glad to have you. You're one of our more inspirational guests. We really love it. So I mentioned your upbringing, your education on the East Coast. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you found your way over here to Awesome Town in Santa Clarita?
Sure. So I met my husband in college, and we both were business majors, and we graduated and could not find jobs in the Boston area where we were going to school. And my husband's parents had relocated to Pasadena while we were in college, and so we thought, oh, well, let's go try out California. But to answer your question literally, how did we find our way to California?
Sure.
We used what was called a triptych. So we went, this was back in the day before GPS and Waze and Google Maps. You went to AAA Auto Club, and you told them where you want to go, and they took out a map, and they took a highlighter pen and highlighted your route. So we followed the route across the country, and that's literally how we found our way to California.
I love that. You know, I was watching some silly show recently, and it was actually a movie with Mark Wahlberg, and like he had lost his phone and needed to travel across the country, so he went to AAA to ask for a map, and they were like, "A what?" They couldn't find the maps at AAA. Interesting. So now, before we get to the services that FYI provides, because you guys provide some amazing services, I kind of want to set the table for the need, right? Because I think this is one of those needs that folks, it's not always right there. You know, you can't see it oftentimes, like some of the needs in our community. So let's talk about the benefits that most of us had growing up and well into adulthood. I'm in my 50s now and still enjoy these benefits that foster youth typically don't have access to. What are some of the things that we often just take for granted that foster kids struggle without that you noticed as you were advocating for this young lady?
Sure. Well, even before they reach the age where they come to FYI. So we serve youth who are 16 to 25 years old, but just looking at the life of a foster child, what are some things that they don't have that we take for granted?
Sure.
We take for granted that our parents will take care of us. Mm-hmm. We take for granted that we're not going to be getting raised by strangers who are getting paid to take care of us. We have a permanent home. If we move, our family moves with us. We grow up with our siblings. People celebrate our birthdays. They take us on vacation with them. Our family won't kick us out if we make a mistake. Our family will attend our graduation ceremonies. We have youth in our program who graduated from high school and nobody showed up, like no foster parents, nobody. So when our when the youth in our program graduate, we make sure that our staff goes, our volunteers go, that they're cheering. Because you can imagine walking across the stage to get your diploma and nobody's cheering for you, right? Yeah. And then as they transition out of childhood and into adulthood, when I was growing up, probably you, probably most of us, we had a family safety net to fall back on. So if we got out there and we ran out of money or our housing situation didn't work out, we could move back home. Our parents would be there to help support us. And for foster youth, they don't have that. They don't have that safety net.
You know, that's it's really interesting. I was actually thinking just last night, you know, our budget here in California just came out and it's not looking good, and some of the school districts are starting to announce things like layoffs, and I'm a teacher, and so I was thinking, gosh, how long could I survive? And I've got a decent reserve in the bank, but you know, worst case scenario, I could go stay with my parents for a while, and you know, when I travel and I need a ride to or from the airport, I can call my parents, I can call my siblings, and you know, and even when I'm struggling or when I've had a great day, I pick up the phone, I call mom, I call dad, and I share with them. Those are all things that we kind of take for granted, aren't they?
Yes, yes.
So tell us about FYI, Fostering Youth Independence again. What services do you provide? Are you able to really step in and fill those gaps? What sort of assistance does FYI provide for youth aging out of the foster care system? What's that bridge look like?
Sure. Well, our mission is to equip foster youth to complete a post-secondary education and become successful independent adults. So we do focus on education, but the primary way that we do that is we give each one of our youth a caring adult volunteer who's called an ally, and that's their person who provides guidance, support, and encouragement, because most of our youth, when they come to us, we ask them at our intake process. Can you name one adult over the age of 25 who you can count on for guidance and support? And most of them can't even name one person. So this really becomes an encourager, someone to guide and support them and provide that advice that they can't call a parent and ask for.
Sure. And that is so important. My son last night called me that he had a little short in his apartment and the lights in the kitchen went out. He didn't know what to do, so he called Dad.
Yeah.
Things like that seem, so simple and maybe trivial. But I got to tell you, Carolyn, I wasn't able to help him, but he felt better after we talked for some reason.
Yeah.
It's just that connection.
It's knowing somebody's there. So then in addition to providing that caring adult volunteer, we also provide help with applying for financial aid, filling out that FAFSA form, enrolling in college, enrolling in classes. We have emergency financial assistance. We have events throughout the year where our youth connect with other youth and their allies. We have a program called the Study Place, which is academic support and tutoring.
Yeah.
We have a Ready, Set, Drive program where youth get classroom instruction and then we pay for behind-the-wheel lessons. Because another thing that we take for granted is that our parents are going to teach us how to drive. Foster youth don't have that. Their foster parents tend not to teach them to drive because they don't want to accept the liability.
Right.
So most of the youth come to us over the age of 18, no driver's license.
Sure.
We have a program called Money Matters where we provide one-on-one financial tutoring. We started a program last year called CHAT, which stands for Community Healing and Talking, which is a group therapy session.
Oh, great.
And then we just started a new program this year called Renew, which is also helping to break some of those wounds from domestic violence and unhealthy relationships that the youth have grown up with.
Sure. Such important stuff that a lot of us just don't always think of. Like you said, we take for granted that either we don't have those needs or those needs are being met on a daily basis.
Right.
I mentioned before that this is kind of one of those sort of invisible conditions, right? We don't always see it in our society. How great of a need is there here in Santa Clarita? Is this something that we're talking about a few kids? Is it a bigger number than...
It's hundreds. We don't have an exact number because the county system doesn't keep track of youth once they age out of foster care, and they tend to move around a lot even while they're in foster care. So we don't have an exact number, but we know that they're out there. They are a hidden population, as you mentioned. We don't really know because there's a stigma for the youth being labeled as a foster youth, so they tend not to share that. So, but there's definitely a need out there, as we've served 167 youth since we were founded in 2017, and we know that there are many more out there.
Yeah. So what kind of recruitment tools do you use? How do you find youth? How do they find you? And how do you get connected?
We work very closely with Dora Lozano, who's the foster youth liaison at College of the Canyons.
Okay.
She runs the Inspire program there. We get a lot of referrals from her. We get some referrals from the Hart District. We get some referrals from the Department of Children and Family Services, our Child Protective Services here in LA County. And then we get a lot of referrals from youth themselves, and those are our favorites. So we have youth who will bring us other foster youth they know, or they bring us their siblings. And so we get to see those siblings reunified in our program because most foster youth don't grow up with their siblings. They're sent to different foster homes. And so it's always heartwarming to see them together at the study place or at the events that we're having. And that's how we get most of our referrals.
Word of mouth is always the best advertising.
That's right.
Proof that you're doing great things. You mentioned it a little bit, but seems like this generation that's coming up now, is dealing with a lot more mental health struggles. I think being a kid, a young adult these days is just much more complex than you and I had to deal with growing up. And it's also an issue that's on the table. Previously the remedy was, take that trauma and stick it in a bag and shove it under the bed. But kids are much more aware and are reaching out for mental health support. What kind of mental health services do you provide at FYI?
So as I mentioned, we do have two newer programs. One is called CHAT, which is group therapy, and one is called Renew, to help heal wounds from cycle of unhealthy relationships. And we refer out for therapy, but one thing that's really important is those healthy relationships with caring adult volunteers. When my two friends and I started FYI, we knew the value of having a caring adult, a person who
Yes.
would walk by your side. It was just intuitive to us. However, the more research we did, we found out that the psychologists and the psychiatrists agreed with us as well. There's a psychiatrist named Dr. Bruce Perry. He wrote a book called he wrote several books, but one was called The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog, and he talks about different situations where children were abused and how they were able to recover from their trauma. And he talked about the children at the David Koresh compound
yes.
in Texas.
Uh-huh.
And he said that the most therapeutic experiences for those children did not occur in therapy, but in naturally occurring healthy relationships. And so we've seen that. We have seen the therapeutic benefit of just being in a healthy relationship with a caring adult who's not paid to be in your life, as so many adults have been for these kids. And we have seen real, true value in that. It really is changing lives.
And I believe you completely. I was at an event the other night talking with another educator, and someone came up and said, hey, the two of you are educators. What are we going to do to keep our schools safe? How are we going to keep violence out of our schools? And this friend of mine was talking about locks on doors and higher fences and security and all these different things. And then the conversation turned to me, and I said, I think if every adult on campus is able to make a connection with as many kids as possible, that's what's going to keep our campuses safe. That the kids know that the adults there care about them, love them, heck, notice them, realize
Yes.
they're alive. Then that's what's going to keep our schools safe.
I agree.
And it's the same thing, I think, with foster youth. When they know that there's someone there who's got their back and truly, genuinely cares about them, that's going to mitigate a lot of those mental health struggles. Carolyn Olsen is the co-founder and executive director of FYI. That's Fostering Youth Independence, FYI. They're doing great work here for foster youth in Santa Clarita. When we get back, we'll talk about how you can get involved and hear some of the inspirational stories coming out of FYI. Stick around. I'm Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm joined this morning by Carolyn Olsen. She is the co-founder and executive director of FYI, Fostering Youth Independence. We were talking previously about just the amazing work that they do to fill the gaps that we don't always realize are there. Kids aging out of the foster care system, it really is kind of this hard stop. If you're in the foster care system, you turn 18 and it just shuts off. You move out. You're on your own. You're expected to take care of yourself, not just financially and physically, but spiritually, emotionally, everything. And that can be daunting. I mentioned, Carolyn, that I'm in my 50s and I still rely heavily on the support, the guidance, the advice, the safety net, and this, just the love of my family. And FYI is stepping in to fill those gaps and just doing beautiful things. I noticed that you were using a term earlier. You talked about allies, how you have allies at FYI. They're not teachers or leaders or mentors, they're allies. Can you talk a little bit about that term? Why do you use that term, ally?
Yes, so my friends and I spent a lot of time coming up with this term that we would use to refer to our caring adult volunteers. We thought about the word mentor, and the word mentor, while it might be positive for us, it has a negative connotation for foster youth because they were assigned mentors when they were teens in the foster care system. And a mentor was somebody who kind of showed up, told you what to do, and they've had a lot of people throughout their lives telling them what to do and not really giving them their own voice and their own choices. And so we decided ally was a good term to describe somebody who would just come alongside of you.
Yeah.
And just be that person who was there for you to guide you. It's interesting because when we started doing this back in 2017, we assigned a lot more responsibilities to the allies as far as tasks, like help the youth fill out their FAFSA, make sure that they're going to class, ask them about their grades. And then we've realized, no, that is not the role of the ally. It's more important that they build a relationship and become a person that the youth can trust, because as you can imagine, they all come to us with trust issues.
Yeah.
The people who were supposed to be there for them were not. So the importance of the ally role is to build that healthy relationship, and then the tasks we've taken in-house. So we have a small staff, we have coordinators who are case managers, but we've renamed that term as well to make it sound less clinical.
Sure.
And those people are keeping our youth on track, making sure that they're filling out their applications, turning in their classwork,
All right.
enrolling in classes, filling out their financial aid forms. And the ally is really just that person who's by their side, guiding and encouraging them.
That's beautiful. We do that at our schools as well. We change the name of certain things, not to be novel or avant-garde, but to reframe what that relationship actually is. For example, we call our teachers facilitators, and it reminds our educators that you are not the expert on high pouring into these empty vessels. You're setting the stage and getting out of the way. And for our kids, they realize the facilitator is the one who, again, maybe sets the table, but I'm the one that's responsible for my education. And so the verbiage you use can be very powerful, and I can see how the term ally is reframing for your youth, and as well as the adult advocates that are working with them. So how are you doing on allies? Because your allies are all volunteers, correct?
Correct. So the city of Santa Clarita, or the community of Santa Clarita, as you know, is a very generous, caring community.
Yes.
And when we first started this, we thought, you know what, people will step up and do this if they only know about the need. Because as we discussed before, this is kind of a hidden population and people are not aware.
Yes.
So since we started, I believe we've trained 130. We've assigned 130 volunteer allies, and we can always use more. We always like to stay ahead, because as new youth join our program, we tell them how awesome it is to have an ally. And then if we don't have anybody to assign to them, it feels really bad. So we always like to have inventory, of allies. And that way, when the youth come in, within the first week or two, we can set up a meeting where they can get to know their ally and start building that relationship with them. But we always have a need for more allies. We have a training program once a quarter. Our next one will be held on April 16th.
Oh, great. Coming
in
up.
the evening. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. And so the process of becoming an ally is attending a training session, completing our application form. We ask for 3 references. We contact those references. We do a brief phone interview, and then once all those steps are completed, then we send the potential ally to be live scanned, because we want to make sure that our allies are safe.
Sure.
And then once they're approved, it's just a matter of when we have a youth available to pair them with. And it's not a first come, first serve type of basis. We try to find some commonalities, or we put some effort into the pairing process. We call it pairing. So our youth have given us information about their likes and dislikes and kind of what they want to be when they grow up, and then we ask our allies about their hobbies and experiences and their careers, and we do our best to make these pairings.
All right, so I might get matched with a young person who's into college football.
You might.
Hooray! So, this is a big commitment, right? We don't want allies who are going to say, oh, hey, I heard this warm, fuzzy interview on the radio. Sure, I'll throw my hat in the ring, and then 2-3 months down the line, sort of decommit, right? Which can be an issue with volunteers sometimes. And so I think folks can maybe be a little trepidatious. Is this something that maybe I could dip my toe into, maybe go to the training, see what it's all about, find out what the commitment is, and then make my decision from there?
Yes, absolutely. And so we now I think we do a very good job at our training about telling people what to expect.
Okay.
And it sounds like we're talking people out of it, but basically we're saying if you have a lot of volunteer commitments already, this probably isn't the right role for you. Or if you're a person who gets your feelings hurt very easily, or you get upset when people don't respond to you right away, this probably isn't the right role for you. Because sometimes it takes a while to build that relationship, and you're texting this youth, and do you want to get together? And crickets, you're not hearing anything back. So Definitely, there's no obligation to become an ally when you attend the training program. It's just a really good way to find out what are some of the challenges our youth face, what the ally role is all about, and whether or not it's the right role for you.
Okay.
And so we've had people attend the training and it wasn't the right time for them, but then
Sure.
they come back later. Because again, like you said, we don't want it to be like 2 or 3 months into it,
Right.
you go, oh, sorry, this isn't the right role for me.
Could be
Because
the
these kids have
worst
been
thing,
abandoned
yeah.
so many times. The last thing we want to
Right.
do is give them a person they start bonding with, and then the person bails on them.
And it re-traumatizes them.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. So if someone's saying, "Oh, okay, I get it," and it can be a commitment, and it might not be easy, but I would love to be that person. How can they get in touch with you? How can they apply?
So you can go to our website, fyifosteryouth.org, and there's a way that you can fill out a contact form, or you can simply email our volunteer coordinator. Her name is Darlene, and it's dallen, ALLEN, at fyifosteryouth.org.
At fyifosteryouth.org. I'm
Correct.
jotting that down for future reference. So, gosh, fantastic! You're doing such amazing things. I understand that that 2023 that we just came out of was kind of a big year for you at FYI. Can you share with me maybe some of your successes that you celebrated this last year?
Sure. So we supported a total of 100 foster youth last year, just in 2023. We celebrated 15 graduations, and graduations are always our favorite.
Yeah.
So we had 5 high school graduates, we had 3 associate's degrees,
All right.
3 bachelor's degrees,
Nice.
and 3 professional certifications, because our youth don't have
great.
to take the college path. There's some wonderful trades out there. We have youth who are studying to be welders. We've got a pharmacy technician. We've got some phlebotomists. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. The point is that we want them to get something beyond a high school diploma
Sure.
in order to be able to earn a living wage and have a successful life. Let's see. We welcomed 25 new youth into our community.
Oh, wow.
We added 30 new volunteer allies. We had a back-to-school bash and career fair, which we have every year, where all of our youth got school supplies and backpacks. Like I said, we launched a new program called Chat. We launched that new financial literacy program called Money Matters. And then we helped 52 youth enroll in college or trade schools. So, yeah.
That's wrinkling my chin, and I love hearing that you're staying ahead of the curve. You took on 25 new youths, you took on 30 new allies. So there we go,
Yeah,
making
staying
sure
ahead of
that
it, just barely.
we're meeting that need. Yeah, absolutely. That is wonderful. I've been teaching for 30 years now, and one of the things I always enjoyed about working with kids is when they grow up and they start to pay it forward, right? They'll come back and they'll volunteer in my classroom, or they become teachers themselves. Does that ever happen with your program? Do you have anyone that you've maybe supported that's then gone on and said, hey, this life of advocacy is something that I want to do?
So one thing that's really surprised me about working with these youth is how many of them choose helping careers to go into. So most of our youth want to be teachers or nurses or social workers or firefighters or EMTs. It's been really just very heartwarming to see. And then we have a few youth who are now finished with our program. They're alumni who've gone on to help other people. We have one youth named Shania, and she graduated from UC Irvine in 2020 when her graduation was
Shania.
canceled. Her goal is to join the FBI and end human trafficking, so that's a pretty big goal. And so she's after she left Irvine, she went into officer training school with the Navy,
wow.
and she's now serving our country. And when she's finished there, she hopes to join the FBI and end human trafficking.
Wow.
We have another youth who, with the help of her ally, was able to pass the required test and get into nursing school and get her her nursing degree, and then also be licensed as a registered nurse. She's now working in an oncology unit, helping cancer patients.
Okay.
And then we have, if you have time for one more.
Yes, please.
We have a youth who's currently student teaching. Her goal is to become credentialed to work with special needs students.
Oh, yay.
And she is working with a class where she has a little girl, And she was told by the occupational therapist, don't even try to teach her to write her name because she's not capable. And our youth was very determined and said, don't tell me what she can't do.
Right.
And she recently sent us a picture that she had taken on her phone of this little girl's first name that she had written in her own handwriting. So it's just a beautiful thing to me to see how these youth, instead of being jaded by their traumatic experiences, they've turned it around and they're trying to make the world a better place. So,
yeah. If you only knew what I've done, don't tell me what this child could. I love that. And when she's ready, we've got a job for her at iLead, iLeadSchools.org.
I'll send her your way.
And we would love to have her. That would be fantastic. I know that. You're not doing just beautiful work. You're having tremendous success. And if folks want to be a part of it, they can just go to your website again, fyifosteryouth.org. But it's not possible without the volunteers as well as community collaboration. You've got quite a few partners in the community. Can you talk about some of the partnerships that you've formed and how they've been able to enhance the support that you provide your youth?
Yes. So as I mentioned, we have a really great partnership with Dora Lozano and the Inspire Scholars at College of the Canyons. And not only do we get referrals from Dora, but we collaborate with her department, keeping track of our youth and when they need to go in for meetings and those types of things. We have a tremendous partnership with Christ Lutheran Church. They donate our office space so that we don't have to pay rent. And then they host our events and they host our study place program in their fellowship center. The city of Santa Clarita has been a tremendous partner. They have funded our case management program, the study place, and programs that we have like Welcome Home, which is a new program this year that pays for household items and study aids for youth who are moving into their own space for the first time.
Sure.
We have a great relationship with Zonta. We have a great relationship with Seroptimus, the Assistance League. They all donate and participate in different ways. Tidings for Teens, Tammy Mai, I don't know if you've heard about her organization, but she donates Old Navy shopping trips for our youth. Yeah. KHTS, tremendous partner. There's an organization called Echoes of Hope that was started by Luke Robitaille. He was a
he was a great king, and I think he's president of the Kings now.
Yeah. So he has an organization, and they also help us meet needs that foster youth have for books and different things like that. The Rotary Club is a partner. The Rise Foundation is a local organization that's fairly new that helps us. Local churches, Real Life, St. Stephen's, the Latter-day Saints, the Sanctuary, Restoration Church, and our county supervisor, Catherine Barger's office, has helped us with needs as well. So we do have a lot of partners in the community. We couldn't do it without them.
Santa Clarita always steps up.
Very
I
true.
Absolutely love that. All right, so we've talked about the whole reason that FYI was founded and the great work that you do and all that you've accomplished and the milestones that you hit in 2023. Let's look forward. So what are some of the goals, initiatives that you at FYI have for the future, and how do you envision the organization's growth and impact coming up in the next few years?
Sure. Well, we want to be able to accept every youth who comes to us for help. We have never turned away a youth. We've never set a cap and said we can't serve more than this number.
Okay.
And so we've not always known how we were going to accommodate them, but somehow through our generous community, we have found a way, and we've been able to help everyone who's come to us. So our goal is to continue to be able to do that and to continue to provide these different support programs that don't take us away from our mission, which again is to equip foster youth to complete a post-secondary education, but that will just be tools that will help in that. And that's why we've started some of these other programs, like the study place, like Ready, Set, Drive. We help with housing. Yeah. We help, that was a statistic that I forgot to point out to you, but we had, I think it was 21 youth last year that we helped them secure safe and stable housing, because even though we're not a housing agency, we can't expect you to do well in school if you're sleeping in a car or in a park bench or couch surfing. So we want to continue to provide those tools that will equip our youth to be successful in their education.
Doing absolutely amazing things,
you.
and a great job, Santa Clarita, for stepping up and supporting an amazing foundation. FYI, Fostering Youth Independence. Again, you can contact them at their website, fyifosteryouth.org, or if you're ready to step up and say, hey, I think I've got some support that I can lend a young person transitioning into adulthood, then go ahead and email dallen at fyifosteryouth.org, dallen at fyifosteryouth.org. You've got a training for allies coming up in April, and
Yes.
and go check it out and see if it's for you. Carolyn Olsen is co-founder of and executive director of FYI Fostering Youth Independence. Thank you so much for all you do, and thank you for joining us on Eye on the Valley. You're an inspiration. Look forward to having you back real soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Have a great weekend. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCBI and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCBI and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. You know, this break, I wanted to take a look at this day in history. It's a good one, but this is going to be a little bit shorter of a break. We went long with Carolyn and FYI because they deserve it at Fostering Youth Independence. They're doing amazing work for kids who are aging out of the foster care system. And think about it, when you were 18, I was a baby at 18, and if I were to be dropped off and told, you're an adult now, do it on your own, do all of it on your own, I wouldn't have been able to survive. So thank God that our valley, the youth in this valley, have people like Carolyn and the allies at Fostering Youth Independence to support them. So let me just gloss over it. Like I said, it's a good day in history. February 23rd was a great one. A lot of kind of civil rights kind of stuff going on. It is the birthday of Webb Dubois. He was one of the founders of the NAACP and an outspoken leader and brilliant man. He was born on this day in 1868. Let's see. Oh, This Land Is Your Land by Woody Guthrie was published on this date, February 23rd, 1940, one of the seminal works of the American folk singer that went on to become kind of an anthem of the civil rights movement in the 60s, a couple decades later. Let's see. Oh, the famous photo, the Battle for Iwo Jima, those 6 Marines raising the flag on Mount Suribachi. Yeah, that happened on February 23rd, 1945. Kind of tragic. Those 6 Marines have become iconic. The most reproduced photograph in history. 3 of them never made it off that island. Let's see. February 23rd, 1954 was when the first polio vaccine was administered. Kind of ironically enough, we've had this debate recently about vaccines in schools, and it was school children in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania that received the first doses. A little bit more recent in history, 2014, February 23rd, 2014, Brooklyn Nets center Jason Collins became the first openly gay athlete to play a game in one of the United States major 4 sports. I got to stop down here. I love what Charles Barkley said. Charles Barkley is just, he's just so... He speaks his mind, and he's kind of this kind of casually brilliant guy.
Yeah, he's very genuine.
He really is, and sometimes he'll say some stuff that I think, Charles, do you think before you say these things? But when Mike Lupica asked him about the first openly gay NBA basketball player, he said, this is a good day in terms of breaking another barrier, but we got to get to the point where people stop worrying about this.
We don't care, yeah.
Yeah, so I love it.
Good.
Let's see, 2020, February 23rd, 2020 was the day that Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old black man, was shot to death by a white father and son, and that went on to be one of the 3 sparks of the Black Lives Matter movement in the summer of 2020. But I want to step back a few decades, and Jen, I know we're up against it, so keep me on it. Again, to get to the stupid one, on February 23rd, 1978, Grammy voters made history by failing to settle on a winner for that year's best song. Instead, Barbra Streisand's Love Theme from A Star Is Born and Debbie Boone's You Light Up My Life were both awarded the Best Song Grammy. They tied. It was the first tie in that category in Grammy history. And I can see how it was hard for voters. There were a lot of songs up for Best Song that are great songs. Glenn Campbell's Southern Nights, Crystal Gale's Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue.
I love that one.
Right? Carly Simon's Nobody Does It Better from the James Bond film. Hotel California from the Eagles did not get the nod. And then some songs that weren't even nominated. Check this out. Stevie Wonder's I Wish, Elvis Costello's Allison, American Girl by Tom Petty, and Bob Marley's Jammin'. They were all left off. What a great year for songs. The tie that night actually made Barbra Streisand the answer to an incredible trivia question. Who is the only person to tie for both a Grammy Award and an Oscar?
She tied for both?
Yep, 1968. Wow. She was the co-winner with in the Best Actress category for her performance in Funny Girl. Katharine Hepburn was the co-winner for her role in The Lion of Winter. But let's settle this right now,
Poor
right?
Babs.
Because I hate ties. So Streisand's Love Theme from A Star Is Born or Debbie Boone's You Light Up My Life? What do you think?
I got to go with Streisand.
Oh.
Are we
You Light Up My Life.
In disagreement?
Well, we're just going to have to settle on a long-term historical tie. But, if I had a vote back in the day, I got to go with Bootsy Collins' Bootzilla. Yabba dabba doo, baby.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the world's only rhinestone rock star, 14 karat funk. Alrighty, so that is just a quick gloss over this day in history, February 23. When we get back, Andi Palmatier is revolutionizing what home study education can look like. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. There we go. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley, where we are spreading the word about Bootsy Collins's Bootzilla. Check it out on YouTube. Bootzilla is...
Are we, though?
It's an amazing song. It is absolutely phenomenal. Alrighty. We are coming to you live from beautiful downtown Newhall. Joining me now is Andi Palmatier. The love of learning started at a young age for Andi, and it has become a passion and addiction into adulthood. Yeah, love me a good old adult life addiction. As a student for life, Andi is always exploring and pushing the boundaries academically and athletically, and hopes to influence the same mentality in her students. Born and raised in Kansas, Andi moved to California to attend college on a violin scholarship. How often do you hear that? And she graduated with a music business degree. She received her teaching credential from Cal State Teach after her children were born and knew she wanted to work with homeschool families. She enjoys helping children discover their strengths and passions and learning to think outside the box when it comes to education. Andi lives up against the San Gabriel Mountains in Sierra Madre, where she lives with her husband, 2 great kids, and her pup, Penny. In her spare time, she travels, hikes, practices Hapkido, and loves to play games with her family. Andi, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you so much. That was a nice introduction.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're a wonderful person. Andi, so we talked a little bit about it, but yours is a really interesting educational journey. Can you share a little bit about it with us? Because, like I mentioned, the violin got you into college, but why did you decide to become a teacher, and how did you find us at iLead?
Well, it's a good question. I think the violin was my first career. It paid for college, got me through.
Nice.
My first love and first interest was actually cosmetology school, doing hair, working with my hands, talking to people.
All right.
So I did that for 15 years.
Wow.
Then I had kids, stayed home with them for a few years. My mom moved to California and said, "You're going to do real estate." So I did real estate. And then I had a friend who said, "You know what? I think you need to look into teaching. I think this is something, especially for these charter, like homeschool families," that I had a bunch of friends who were doing this with their kids. And I had a friend just say, "You need to look into this." And it felt providential. Like it was a strange feeling. I was like, you know what? I've never thought about teaching. I kind of looked, I know this sounds terrible, but I had somebody tell me at a young age, if you can, you do. If you can't, you teach. So I never saw teaching as like a real, like I was like poo-pooed it a little bit, which is terrible. But I was young and a little dumb. And when this lady told me this, I said, you know, I'm actually going to look into that. And I looked into it. I found Cal State Teach, which is an online, I could do it from home.
Perfect.
Got my credential, and my last day of student teaching, believe it or not, was March 13th, 2020.
Oh, when the world shut down.
When the world shut down, and I had cleared everything, and iLead hired me in the fall of that next year, and I brought my kids home, put them under my roster, and I homeschooled my kids and became a education facilitator for iLead.
What a
So that
beautiful
was
story.
my journey.
What a beautiful story. And yeah, funny that you say that about teaching. My older brother, who you'll actually meet a little bit later on in the show, Andi, he likes to refer to the teaching career. He calls us part-time seasonal workers because, you know, you and I only work 9 to 2, 8 months out of the year, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's what they say. That's right.
You know what? And that misconception is the single biggest reason for teacher attrition. Wait a minute. I don't get afternoons and the entire summer off, and where's all the vacation that I was promised? Yeah. Okay, anyways, we digress. Andi, you know, even now in 2024, it's funny because, you know, you think we understand so much more about education than we ever did, but people still tend to have a very old school understanding of what homeschooling or home study or independent study is. So can you clear out some of those misconceptions? Can you share with our listeners what home study looks like, at least at iLead Exploration?
Yes, of course. Yes, you're right. I think there's a lot. I mean, even today, people say, "You're a teacher. You work from home. What do you do? And what do your children do? They're home with you. Like, what happens to them?" And the biggest thing they always ask is, how are they socialized?
Right.
How are they socialized? How are they getting those skills of socialization and interacting and learning from their peers on how to behave, you know, correctly, like in a classroom? And I will say that 2 days out of the week, my kids go to like a co-op where like 200 home study families get together. There's teachers, like real teachers there that teach, and they, I pick and choose what I want to teach them at home, like what I'm good at teaching them.
Okay.
And then if I'm not good at writing or if I'm not good at math, I would find the teacher that I think is phenomenal out of many different vendors, and I would choose one for them, and they would go to that class once or twice a week, maybe online, maybe in person. There's a different, it's different for all kids, but they're getting plenty of socialization. The days that we're home all day, we enjoy that. But it's a real personalized learning for these kids.
Yeah.
So what we do at iLead as a facilitator is you would sign your kids up, and they would be public school children of the state of California. It's a public school, our iLead charter school. And they would be given a teacher of record, and me, that's what I would be, education facilitator. And I would work very closely with the parents and the students, but the parents are heavily involved with the facilitator, working weekly, could be daily, could be monthly, depending on how much you need help. A lot of times, if you're your first year of homeschooling or independent study, you need a lot of help. You need a lot of hand-holding. You have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
But there are seasoned people that have been around for doing this their whole, their kids' whole lives, and they know exactly what they're doing. So they don't need much of my help. But every month, I look at their body of work. I see what they're doing in math. I see what they're doing in language arts. I look at their writing, and I say, is this meeting standards? Are they meeting fourth grade standards? And if not, we go, well, what are they missing? What's the holes? And let's try and fill those holes, and I'll help them maybe get a tutor or a different type of curriculum. That way they're meeting their standards at that fourth grade level, and they're ready to go for fifth grade and beyond.
Andi, you're so right, and that's one of the things that I love about iLead Exploration. We do have a lot of families that say, I've been doing this for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years with my older kids. I know what I'm doing. Give me access to the curriculum. I've got this. And then you just kind of, as the credentialed teacher, which is another misnomer, right? Oh, you call them educational facilitators because they're not real teachers. False. Andi, I'm going to blow your horn. You're one of the best teachers I've ever met. and you kind of supervise your families and make sure that everything's going well. But yesterday I spoke on the phone with someone who is ready to enroll her child in transitional kindergarten, and she was talking to another mom who said, I'm at iLead Exploration. You really need to check it out. So I was explaining the program to her, and she says, Matt, I'm really nervous. I don't know that I'm prepared to homeschool my kid. And I said, look, don't worry about it. We are going to provide you as much support as you need or as little as you want. And so by the end of the phone call, she was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. But there's another misconception that you kind of brought up about home study, that kids don't get the same social interaction. But at iLead Exploration, y'all offer tons of opportunities. I don't think any of our families actually could take advantage of all of the opportunities for socialization that we have. Can you share just a couple of examples?
Yes, actually, in-house, I talk a little bit about like co-ops and groups that are in your community, but in-house within our school, we do have synchronous instruction, daily synchronous instruction, live teachers daily for kindergarten through third grade, 30 minutes a day that they can get on, they can see their peers, they interact, they learn standards, they're with a teacher. And then weekly for the middle, like 4th through 8th grade, there's a weekly opportunity for you to do like a book club or something with a credentialed teacher, and then high school, again, weekly. So that's just the synchronous instruction that we offer at the school. We have clubs. High school especially has a ton of clubs. They have game clubs. They have fashion clubs. They have any club you can think of, they have. And if they don't have it, you can create it as a high school student.
Yeah.
That is facilitated by a credentialed teacher, but it's student-led. High school students love that. It gives them a chance to meet kids that have the same interests as they do, and it's great for colleges.
Sure. Y'all have book clubs. I saw a Dungeons and Dragons club come across my desk the other day, but I interrupted you. What else is there?
We have a bunch of field studies, which is field trips, that we offer almost weekly, but several during the month, and they're kids can sign up as they want to. Okay. The whole family can go, or just the students can go. I mean, we have so much to offer that it's almost overwhelming. Like there's not a day that goes by that you can't interact with other peers and students.
Right, and then you also have like these, like you said, especially in high school, you've got like these meetups. I saw, what was it, not long ago, where your high schoolers were they were hooking up at In-N-Out.
That's right.
And doing things like that. You guys do like park days. I saw recently y'all did a snow day in July. That just so much fun. Tons of opportunities for not just the students either, for the families to come together and interact.
For the families, yep. Yep. I also will mention, and this is a big deal, we have like a family Facebook group just for iLead families. And parents get on there and they find a wealth of information just by asking other parents questions about curriculum, about opportunities, about field studies, maybe about getting together in their area. I'm also a parent on there, so I've seen where people say, I live in the South Bay, and I'm looking for, my daughter's in kindergarten, I'm looking for some other kindergartners in the South Bay, and they meet up.
Wow.
So our community is large, but small. It's not like you can't reach other families and have these social interactions.
Sure, y'all build mechanisms to take that large community and make it small. Because, well, let's talk about how expansive iLead Exploration is. You serve about 3,500 students. That's a big school. But you span a huge area, right? Because you mentioned families in the South Bay. You are out, like I said, up against the mountains, but we're airing right now in the Santa Clarita, the kind of North LA County area. So where do your families come from?
Well, our school is based out of Los Angeles County, and then all the counties that touch Los Angeles County, surrounding Los Angeles County, is also included.
Okay.
That's how charter schools are designed.
Right.
In California, or ours is. And so any county that touches Los Angeles is also part of the community. So you have Orange County, San Bernardino, Ventura, Kern, all of those counties we have students everywhere.
Right, and then of course Los Angeles County. So anywhere within those 5 counties, a student can attend your school. And like SCVI, our founding school, that's a classroom-based school. We draw some kids from the Ventura County because that's only about 20 minutes away. But then the rest is from like the North LA County area because it's hard to drive from Costa Mesa to Castaic. But with a home study program, that's not an issue. And so, yeah, our enrollments come all across Southern California. And again, like you mentioned, Andi, it's a free public charter school. So
That's right.
Families that are looking for this high-quality education for free anywhere around Southern California can enroll. You talked about high school, and you talked about kindergarten through 3rd grade. So you're a TK through 12th grade school, right?
I know. Yes. Yes.
So, oftentimes families will say, especially as kids start to get older and start to get into high school, I don't know that I can do all of that. And what about all of the other things that come with school? What are some of the other benefits that you offer your family, or are there gaps that families are going to miss out on if they're not at the local district school?
No, I think people get nervous, especially with high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we going to do for high school? This is great for TK through 8th, but what about high school?
Sure.
And I know because I've seen. I have a lot of friends that work for other charter schools, and I know the pulse of our school. I believe iLead Exploration has the best homeschool high school program.
Okay.
For sure, no doubt about it. We offer live classes for students, virtual live classes, so twice a week where they're working with teachers, they're seeing their peers. We have asynchronous classes where they're getting classes online. We have sister schools like iLead Online where they can get their schooling done. We have a ton of vendors that they can get their schooling from, sometimes out of state if they're a vendor. We offer prom. We offer grad night. We offer all the things that I think a normal high school offers. It's just that our daily instruction of our school happens inside your house.
Right. And one of the things that just always blows me away is your college counseling. Y'all have the best college counselors that I've ever met. It's so funny. I remember when my nephew was getting ready for college, my brother paid a couple $1,000s to a private college guidance person who did almost as good a job as, and I'm going to shout her out, Laura Kazan.
She's the best. Oh my goodness. My goodness. I cannot say. Oh, she is the best. I have an 11th grader who is taking her class. She has an 11th grade class that prepares you to look at schools, prepares you for the finances of schools, prepares you to write the essays, what they're looking for, researches schools, all of it, all the questions your kids really need to know and answer. She takes them through the whole year as a year-long course and gets them prepared step by step. I cannot speak more highly of Laura Kazan.
Yeah,
she is a gem.
Yes.
She's a gem.
Yes, and families are saving, like I said, thousands of dollars by having her as part of this free public home study charter school. And then I just want to touch really quick on, you mentioned vendors. So not only do your families have access to all this amazing stuff, the high school live and daily synchronous instruction, all the socialization, the meetups, the different clubs, things like that. But then families also have access to their educational funds. We're talking about the tax dollars that get spent on their child's education. They have a lot of say over how that money gets spent, and they can use that to purchase online courses, to pay for music classes, dance classes, things like that within their own community. It is just fantastic. And then, Andi, we haven't even touched on why I wanted to talk to you this morning. And we're going to get into that in just a minute, because what you and your team are doing, I mentioned it during the first hour. Andi, I was told for 6 years Matt, you can't do that in home study. It can't be done, and you and your team are doing it. We're going to talk more about it when we get back. Andi Palmatier joins me this morning. She and her team are leading the way when it comes to high-quality, innovative home study education, and you're going to find out how when we get back. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVI and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and joining me this morning is Andi Palmatier from I Lead Exploration. That's I Lead's home study program. If you missed last break, yes, we do home study. It's kind of popular. We've got about 3,500 kids in our home study program across Southern California. You can attend our school as long as you live in any of the 5 counties. That's LA, San Bernardino, Kern, Ventura, what did I miss? Orange County. So any of those 5 counties, and we are a free public charter school. Yeah, free. And not only is it free, not only can you attend from pretty much anywhere in Southern California, but I Lead Exploration has got, I've got to say, probably the most innovative home study program around, where kids are just doing amazing things, and Andi and her team are revolutionizing what home study can look like. So Andi, another unique opportunity. You talked about tons of opportunities. We talked about amazing college counseling and the socialization, all the different options that families TK through 12 have with I Lead Exploration. But you and your team are offering your families something that our schools, well, the rest of our schools have been known for well over a decade now. I'm talking about project-based learning. So before we get into how you do that in a home study program, I want to talk a little bit about, maybe for the layperson, what project-based learning is and why that's so important or powerful in education. Andi, you and I we've kind of nerded out on PBL, project-based learning, for a couple of years now. So can you share with our families what project-based learning is and why that's so powerful in education?
Yes, I am obsessed, just like you are, with project-based learning. And the reason I'm obsessed with it isn't because I like something new and shiny, although I do like new and shiny things.
Okay.
The reason I really love project-based learning is the output, the end result, far exceeds my initial thoughts could ever take our students. Like, where I want them to be, every time I do a project, they exceed it by tenfold. And it blows me away. So it's not just that it's project-based learning, it's great. It's that what I see coming from the method of teaching, which is project-based learning, it blows my mind. So project-based learning is a method of teaching that invites learners to mimic real life by the facilitator or a teacher asking an intriguing question at the beginning of the project, and then at the end of the project, the learners are going to answer the question. In the in-between, there may be a week or 2 weeks or a month, like a unit of study, where they are going on field trips, watching documentaries, doing rigorous assignments or research. They may be having a debate. They may be working collaboratively to answer the question. So if you think about a traditional setting where there's an experienced teacher in the front and she's relaying information to the students, and then the students hear, and then they maybe take a test off of what their learning from the teacher, that you wipe that slate clean, you take a bunch of students and you say, I have a question. Maybe the question is LeBron James the best basketball player ever? And they look at you like, some of them might be like, of course.
Yeah.
And the others might be like, no way.
Yeah.
But they might spend a month going over statistics and what is basketball and what makes somebody a great basketball and comparing and then answering this question. And some of them might have different answers. But they're digging deep and researching and kind of rubbing each other and debating and doing all sorts of research where they come up with this answer and they have reason behind it.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's awesome.
And then kind of by happenstance, the education filters in, right? Because then they get into statistics and they get into points of debate and arguments and counter arguments and all these different things. And it just depends on what it is that you want your kids to learn. And you set up the real world reason you want them to learn. It becomes more memorable. It becomes permanent. And we remember experiences, not facts, not figures, things like that. So, Andi, I remember when we first, this was, still in my early days with iLead, when we first launched iLead Exploration, and we took on that question, how could you even possibly do project-based learning in a home study program? And like I said, for a good 5 or 6 years, because I love PBL, I was pushing, and I was told, you can't do it in home study. You can't. We're not the teachers, so we can't do it. And then we shifted our question from can you do it to, okay, forget can you do it. How can you do it? So can you answer that for me, Andi? How can you offer project-based learning? Because like you said, you set up these projects, but if you're not the teacher, how can you offer project-based learning in an environment where the parents are the ones delivering the instruction?
So how do I give the responsibility to the parent to have them do it at home? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm asking, so that's the question that we were faced with. How can you do project-based learning in a home study setting? So talk to me about what you and your team are doing to do just that, because I've seen it, Andi. Okay. You and your team are providing amazing project-based learning instruction, but how?
Yes. Okay. We have at our school a team called Learner University. And we had 9. We just added 3 more teachers. These teachers are well versed to project-based learning. They've been trained well. They've done it before. They have experience. And we set up projects for first graders through 8th graders, or even high schoolers at times. And we set up it depends upon the instructor or the teacher. It could be a week long for first graders where they meet every day. They are instructed with activities and things. They get an assignment, and they say, okay, you're going to do it with your family at home. You're going to come back tomorrow, and we are going to showcase each other what we did with the time off or what you guys did at home. I do a lot of middle school PBLs, so I met with these kids once a week for an hour, and it's not like I'm teaching them. It's not like I'm saying words and they're listening for an hour. We're discussing what's going to happen. I kind of give them the guidelines, and I say, go for it. Yeah. And in a week, I want you to come back with a product that I've asked you to go for. I mean, the less you say, the less instruction I give, the more I get. So, how I set it up is on Mondays, I might have a live instruction class for an hour. On Thursdays, I'm going to give them an asynchronous mini lesson, maybe 15, 20 minutes where they can listen at their own time, their convenience. And then we will reconvene on Monday, the next Monday, come back and see where we are within the project. We'll talk to each other, see what each other brings to the table. A lot of feedback. We give each other a lot of feedback, peer feedback, and then we continue forward in kind of this live class, asynchronous class, live class, asynchronous class, usually for about 4 weeks. And I think it's great because the kids can do a lot of work at their own time schedule within the week, and they come back and they're excited because it's not every day, but they get a lot of work done within the week. And so it's exciting to see what they bring back. Their peers are excited to see.
That is amazing.
Does that make sense?
It does. And, 5, 6 years ago when we first started talking about this, we could have never imagined homeschoolers collaborating, getting feedback from each other, building that synergy, right? Because it's not just, okay, what can I do with my idea? It's what can I do with my idea? And then I've got all these other ideas from my peers and other kids in my class, and I'm using those air quotes, you can't see me on the radio, that ideas are bouncing off. This is real world stuff. This is not preparing them to get a job. This is preparing them to lead into the future. And I'm so excited about it. So this isn't just you, Andi, because you've got a team, right? You've got this team of project-based learning experts who are rolling this out. Can you talk to me about who the teachers are on your team? Who's doing this?
Yes, we have several. Robert Lopez Grace Wells, Victoria Pick,
Oh, yeah.
Deb Satterwhite, Carrie Heinze, she's a science expert, Melissa Ortiz de los Reyes, Yvette Gilbert, Jody Stanberg, and the list goes on. We have a bunch of teachers that are planning and preparing and monthly rolling out, usually at least one per grade, per grade every quarter of the year or every month.
All right.
So, yeah, they're working hard, and it's fun to hear and see the results when we come back and collaborate.
So kids across the grade levels are getting multiple opportunities to engage in these projects. And I recognize some of those names that you threw out there. In some cases, they've been doing project-based learning. Well, gosh, I remember working on a project with Deb 6, 7, 8 years ago. So talk to me about some of these projects that your team is offering students. What I know we can't get into all of them, but what are a couple of examples of some of these amazing projects?
Yes. There's one coming up in the next month or so. It's called Ready to Rise. Okay. Learn how to bake and host your own delicious show.
Okay.
And that's going to be from like third graders, fourth graders. It's learning a lot about math and fractions.
Oh, so it's not just baking, it's the math that's built into it. Fantastic.
Yep. So that'll be fun for them. I would like to join that, actually. And let's see, this is for the littles, like first grade.
Okay.
How can we create art using shapes?
Oh.
So they'll look at art, they'll look at classic, art that's famous, and they'll talk about shapes. What do you see? What kind of shapes do you see? Let's identify these shapes. And then they'll create their own art using shapes, and maybe they'll do a collaborative piece of art, digitally, virtually. They'll collaborate and make their own art using shapes. So that's kind of fun.
That is fantastic. Yeah, so you've got visual and performing arts. You've got the English language arts as the collaboration, the speaking, and things like that go into it. And then obviously geometry, and that's fantastic. What else you got?
Yep. My favorite one, this is the one I did last semester, and I had a huge response. I think I had over 40 kids sign up, and
wow.
I only take about 15 because that's the size that I like. So I told the rest of the group, I will do one next semester, and mine is called To Keep or Not to Keep.
Okay.
And that's focusing on why do we preserve historical buildings and landmarks, or do we? Do we keep them, or do we get rid of them, and why?
I love that.
And so that's talking about, it was middle school, it was an amazing class. Mm-hmm. We talked about world landmarks. We talked about local landmarks. We talked about landmarks of our own lives, and, good or bad. Do we keep them? Do we get rid of them? Do we ignore them? It became very personal. It was awesome. It was just a great.
So you're talking about history, geography, lots of social studies, but then you're also building in this deep, deep critical thinking and leadership.
Yep.
That is phenomenal. Yep. So, Andi, you touched on it. What kind of response are you seeing from the families? Because what we've come up with is kind of the only way to do this is to have an opt-in kind of thing. Maybe it's not the only way, but that's where we're at right now. So families are opting in. You mentioned in one of your classes you had over 40 students enroll. What kind of response are you seeing in some of the classes? Is that pretty typical?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think families don't quite know where to look for these opportunities. And so I want to make sure they know. They're always posted in the hub under events and under Learner University. It's not going to say PBL. It's going to say Learner University, and that has all of the opportunities coming up in the next month. Usually I have my team try and get it a month before it starts so that you can sign up. But they should also be getting emails from like Parent Square that has these opportunities in them. And they have gotten a lot of interest. Now, these opportunities are, they build on top of each other. So it's not a one-time go. It's you go every week for 4 weeks, and they build upon each other. So if you don't have time for that, then sometimes they don't really know that it's a built upon
a 3-week commitment, a 4-week commitment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's important.
But some families go, look, we love I think PBL is awesome to do it with a class because that's where the learning is. They learn from each other.
Yeah.
They're always learning from each other. But some families go, look, we have a group at home. I have 7 kids at home. I just want to do a project with them. How can we do this? And all of our staff, all of our teachers, we have a lot, are privy to project-based learning, and they have tools to help you build a project.
Oh,
if
fantastic.
your student is working on fractions or is working on decimals or area and perimeter, and you go to them and say, can you help me build a project? They have those tools to help you build a unit study, and they can help you do that. And so ask your EF. If you're already in our school, ask your EF. If you're thinking about coming to our school, we are all ready and prepared to help you do this at home, if that's what you choose.
Yeah. New families, again, will not believe the level of support and all the different resources that you and your colleagues provide, Andi. And yeah, again, if you're already enrolled in iLead Exploration, go to the hub, check out Learner University, and you can take a look at all the amazing projects that Andi and the Learner University, the PBL team, are offering come in upcoming quarters, upcoming semesters. So let's talk about those folks that aren't yet enrolled, Andi. If people are intrigued, because we've already said it, there are folks that have said, oh, I could never do homeschool. With iLead Exploration, you can. You've got the support to do what your kids need. How can families enroll at iLead Exploration?
Yes, I hear that all the time. We can't do it.
Yes.
You are more than equipped to be at home with your children. You know them the best. You know exactly what they need. You know exactly what their strengths and deficits are, I suppose. You know exactly what your children need, and that's more than the teacher half the time. So if you are interested in coming aboard our school, we have a wait list at the moment for this year, but they are pretty soon going to have a lottery, I believe in April. So you would need to go online and fill out an application for the lottery for next year.
Okay.
And anybody can do that. All ages can do that. So you just go to iLeadExploration.org, I believe, and look for enroll, and it will take you step by step into the enrollment process.
I'm looking at it right now, iLeadExploration.org. It's in the upper right-hand corner, the enroll button. You hit that. You fill out the application. Again, it's a free public charter school, and even though we don't have, limitations on space because it's a virtual school, we do have limited staff. So, hit enroll and get in for the lottery because it is an incredibly popular program. One more time, iLeadExploration.org. In the upper right-hand corner, you're going to find the enroll button. Click on that. You can also get more information on our website. Feel free to email our staff or give us a call, and we'll give you as much information as you could need. Again, Andi Palmatier, Andi Palmatier. You're doing great things. Absolutely on the not the cutting edge, but the bleeding edge of education, especially in the home studies program. I really appreciate it. Andi, I do have one more question for you. Do you have any siblings?
No. I'm a child.
Oh, Andi, you don't know how lucky you are. I have an older brother, and my mom, she won't let me have nice things of my own, so she makes me share my radio show with my stupid big brother. He's got some trivia questions. He's actually on hold right now. Can you stick around? Can you humor my big brother? Can you play with us for a little bit?
I would love to.
Okay, fantastic. This is going to be interesting at least. Stick around. You can play along too. This is SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVI and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and now it is time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Y'all know Big T. Big T is an executive and philanthropist. He's an amazing father, husband, and community leader. He's a world traveler, and he has the right to remain silent, but he does not have the ability. Here he is, everybody. He's Mom's favorite, Big T. Welcome to the show.
There's a lot of truth in that statement.
Hey, Big T, Andi Palmatier, she's an educational facilitator with iLead Exploration, our home study program. She decided to stick around. She's going to play with us this morning. Tony, or actually Andy, I need to explain the rules to you. I don't think I sent the rules to you ahead of time. So,
Nope.
Tony's got questions for us. He's going to throw out questions, and you don't just shout out the answer. You have to hit your buzzer before you can answer, okay? Did you get the buzzer we sent?
Okay. No.
Shoot. Okay, well then we're going to have to do this. We'll just use our names as our buzzer, okay? So
Okay.
if you think you know the answer, you shout out your name. We've got Jen,
Okay.
she's going to play. We've got Andy, and I'm going to go by Frogger. I don't know why, but we're going to do that. All right, so
Okay.
Big T, what have you got for us this morning?
Well, I need something from you this morning, Maddie. Eric and I have updated our living trust with the kids kind of out of the house now, and so there's some direction for you in our living trust, and so I just want to share that with you. Who knows who's going to go first, me or you, not sure, but if I happen to go before you, I need you to get my cell phone from Erica, and then at the beginning of my celebration of life, I want you to send a text message to all of my contacts that just says, hey, it's dark in here.
I love it. I love it. You know, you were getting into living trusts and things like that. I thought, hey, maybe this is a conversation we could have off the air.
No, this is going to go sideways really quick.
All right.
Left turn, Clyde.
I love it. Tony's texting from beyond. All righty. Hey, Tony,
Hey,
I
so let's get started here.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All righty. What's the capital of Russia?
Frogger.
Andy. Moscow.
I'm going to give that to Andy.
All right, go for it. And I think she already got it.
She
Moscow.
already did. She called it out. Moscow is correct. What's the process of turning water into vapor called?
Frogger.
Jen,
Go, Jen.
Frogger? Or Jen? Go ahead.
evaporation.
Evaporation is correct. What's the tallest mammal on Earth?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Minute bowl.
Incorrect.
Andy.
Andy.
Giraffe.
That is correct. Even the crooked neck one there in Santa Barbara. Who was the first person to step on the moon?
Jen.
Frogger.
Jen?
Neil Armstrong.
Yes, he did. That beautiful green screen was in the background, too. I loved it.
Right? And he flubbed his line. Jeez.
What's the process of a caterpillar turning into a butterfly called?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Transfiguration.
Incorrect.
But it's a good word.
It is. Is it a word?
Anybody else?
Metamorphosis.
Yes, that's what I thought too.
Nice pull, Jim.
All right.
Nice.
Oh gosh, this is terrible.
What is the process by which plants make their food called?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Inside joke. Andy, do you want to try that word? Because it's photosynthesis.
No, I will
Yes,
let
it
you
is.
do it.
I'm being mean to Andy right now.
Frogger. Frogger's on the board. Who wrote the play Romeo and Juliet?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Andy.
That's Billy Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare is correct.
You know him by Billy.
Yeah. We went to middle school together.
They go way back.
Yeah.
What's the body of water between Florida and Texas called?
Jen.
Oh,
Jen?
The Gulf of Mexico.
Gulf of Mexico is correct. How many syllables are there in the word Mississippi?
Andy.
Andy.
4.
nice.
Frogger, we got a math genius. You better be careful. What are the 3 stages of matter?
Frogger.
Frogger.
There's some jokes in there, but I'm going to refrain. I'm going liquid, solid, gas.
That is correct. I refrained from the Mississippi joke in Spanish, too, so thanks.
That one's funny for our Spanish listeners.
True or false, the kangaroo is a marsupial?
Andy.
Andy.
True.
That is true. What's the capital of France?
Frogger.
Andy.
Frogger.
F.
Frogger, come on.
Okay, Paris.
Paris is correct.
Okay, we got a 3-way tie going on here, just like best song at the Grammys in 1978.
Oh, Babs.
My goodness. On the periodic table, which element is represented by the letter N?
Andy.
Andy.
Magnesium.
Incorrect. The letter N, as in Nancy. I'll give you another guess at it.
N. Oh, goodness.
Andy, you're still on the board.
Anybody else?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Nickel?
Nickel.
Incorrect.
Jen. Nitrogen.
Jen?
Ooh.
Nitrogen is correct. Nice pull, Jen.
Oh.
Nice.
Hands on your buzzer. Who invented the light bulb?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Well, I'm going to go with Thomas Edison, although it wasn't really him.
Thomas Edison is the person we were looking for. You can save your conspiracy theory for somebody else.
So it was invented before he came along. He invented the filament that made the light bulb viable. But, now I'm just
Now
showing
you're
off.
splitting hairs, yeah.
Did you miss what I said? You can save that for somebody else?
Oh, okay.
He saved it for you. You're in luck.
I really don't care. You got it right.
All right.
How many nouns are in the following sentence?
Oh.
The rabbit ran to the cafeteria and ate a big salad.
Jen.
Andy.
Ben.
3.
3. You want to name them or no?
Rabbit, cafeteria, and salad.
We're going to give you 2 points for that.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. And was that the same big
look at
salad
that.
that Elaine talked about on
Maybe,
Seinfeld?
yeah.
Yes, yes. How much is 14 times 5?
Oh, jeez.
Frogger.
Frogger.
90.
Incorrect.
14 times 5? Oh, man.
Andy. 71.
Incorrect.
Okay, let's see if the non-teacher can get it right.
5.
0,
14
5.
times 5.
Wait, I'm
Jen,
trying
you
to
got
watch my
anything?
clock
Yeah.
here so I don't go over on the top of the
She's
hour. I
watching
got
the clock
different
and
numbers.
she's trying to carry the 2.
70.
2, 0, 5, 6, 7,
Correct.
70.
70
Yeah.
is correct,
Yep.
Jen.
We're going to give it to Jen because she was on the board.
I have enough here. Yeah, I'm trying to watch the clocks here.
What do we got? Time for about 3 more.
Yeah.
Perfect. Who painted the Mona Lisa?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Leonardo da Vinci.
That is correct. What's the plural form of the word deer?
Jen.
Jen.
Dear.
Deer is correct.
That gives me PTSD.
Whose picture is on the $5 bill?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Lincoln?
Abraham Lincoln.
All right.
Hesitated.
All righty.
He had to get his
I know-
wallet out.
I know you're an educator. I know you're an educator, so you don't get a lot of those $5 bills.
I know. Just the singles. All right, last one, Big T.
Who was president of the United States before George W. Bush?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton is correct.
All righty, taking a look at the scoreboard. Jen, you smacked me on that one.
Ooh.
Andy, good showing. We do have to wrap up. Big T, thanks for swinging by. We want to thank our guest, Carolyn Olsen from FYI, Fostering Youth Independence. Andi Palmatier from iLead Exploration, your free public home study option. Producer Sarah, engineer Jen, engineer Andrew, Big T, and thank you for listening. Remember, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Be well and do good. And join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I'm Matt Watson, and this is SCVI and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.